This is the 2023 Sondors MetaCycle. These bikes are super rare, so I want to give a massive thank you to Alex at Computer Headquarters here in San Diego for giving me a chance to check out this bike. I feel like Doug DeMuro. Just a quick background, it's made by Sondors, which is a major player in the e-bike space, and this is their first attempt at entering the electric motorcycle market. Sondors first opened their pre-orders 2 years ago, and you could not miss the hype if you were online at the time. They were claiming 80 miles per hour top speed, 80 miles range, with the bike only weighing 200 pounds and costing only $5,000, just barely more than a Sur-On. Fast forward 2 years, and those are still impressive claims, but it's unclear if Sondors has lived up to them. So in this video, I'll be testing if the MetaCycle is worth the hype.
Yeah, I'm on my own. I don't need no one. I don't. Yeah.
So I think this bike looks great, especially in person. It's got a sleek, open frame design that really gives off electric vibes. Looking closely at the frame, we actually see it's one continuous piece of aluminum. There's no ugly weld marks or apparent weak points. I like the low-profile seat design, unlike the battery, which really bulges out, but the battery still looks pretty well integrated. It seems to have full motorcycle suspension and motorcycle brakes, which it should. It's also got spoked wheels with these Michelin tires on it. Seems pretty legit. And perhaps most importantly, the MetaCycle comes with everything that makes it street legal. So a headlight, brake lights, turn signals, mirrors, and a place for a license plate. This bike is fully street legal. We're way beyond class 2, class 3 street legal e-bikes. This is an electric motorcycle made for the streets, so let's take it to the streets. It's rocking a huge hub motor in the rear wheel, which means it actually doesn't have a chain. So I'm expecting it to be super quiet and smooth, but not quite as snappy as a bike with an equivalent mid-drive motor. The battery is quite large. It's 4 kilowatt hours, and to give you an idea, my upgraded Sur-On battery is 2.7 kilowatt hours. Okay, that's enough talking. Let's see how this thing rides. I'm on the MetaCycle, baby! This thing is brand new. It's got 1 mile on it from the owner. I'm also brand new to this part of San Diego. I've never been out here before. Okay, I'm barely touching the throttle and I'm flying. I'm flying. Butter! This thing is smooth. There's only 2 modes. There's the regular mode and then the sport mode. I'm in regular mode and I think they absolutely nailed the tune on it. Ford Ranger, let's go. So this is street legal. I'm gonna abide by all the street laws, except for having a license plate and a motorcycle license. Wow, butter throttle curve, butter! And it's so quiet, it's absolutely silent. You can't hear the hub motor at all, and there's no chain to make any noise. Look how fast I'm going. I'm already 10 miles above the speed limit. Wow. I'm impressed. I really wasn't sure what to expect. I was ready to be super disappointed, but I'm already quite impressed. This is only standard mode. I was already up at 65 miles an hour. I gotta keep reminding myself that I'm on a legitimate motorcycle and that I can't do Sur-On bahoonery. It's super slow off the line, but then it's got plenty of speed after that, which makes me think this is just perfect for a beginner. I feel like I could put anyone on this bike and they'd be a natural on it. Wow, this is so nice. Totally keeping up with the cars, and I don't feel like I'm on an e-bike. I feel like I'm keeping up with the cars as a motorcycle. This is probably the smoothest, I want to say e-bike, but it's an electric motorcycle that I've ever ridden. I usually go for the mid-drive motors. This is a hub, and the hubs are nice. They're smooth, they're efficient. They're just not as snappy, as intense as the mid-drive, so I wouldn't get this as a stunt bike by any means. But for cruising, this is amazing already. I'm like 2 minutes into this. Now there's only about 3 parts of a bike you actually touch, and those are the grips, the pegs, and the seat. I've got to say all of the above are bad. So the grips are this slippery plastic. I don't like the grips. The pegs are kind of just there. They don't really grip your feet well. And when your feet are on the pegs, your ankles are rubbing up against the battery box. You're all up on the battery. Whoa, having mirrors is actually so nice. Here we go, full throttle. Look how slow it starts. That's full throttle. Here's a 0 to 60 in the normal power mode. against the wind and a little bit uphill. Boom, there we go. This is great. The brakes also feel really, really nice. Very much appropriate for this bike. In the e-bike world, there's a lot of bikes that have brakes that are just under-engineered for the bike. But this seems very appropriate. All right, let's pop it into sport here. Do another 0 to 60, but in sport. Oh man, I had my signal on the entire time. While I'm at the red light, there is a storage box right here with a wireless charger for your phone. I think it's one of the coolest designs of this bike, but it's also one of the cheapest parts. It's really unpleasant to close. And it feels just as cheap as the key that comes with it, which is about as cheap as they come. But it is nice having a little bit of storage there and a wireless charger. Although I feel like your phone would fall off the charger inside the box and it would stop charging. All right, here we go, full throttle in sport mode. So this is supposed to get up to 80 miles an hour. And I'm going right into a red light. Yeah, that's much more powerful than the standard mode, but still not like out of control. Wow. Oh man, this is nice. Can't believe it, actually. Right on the ocean. Oh, I remember. So I'm actually out of sport mode. So sport mode is only active for 2.5 minutes, and then it takes 30 seconds to cool down. So let me put it back into sport mode. Here we go. Sport, full throttle. It's got a really easy start. '69. 71, 80 miles an hour. Woo! And it felt solid the whole way through. Oh, I like this. I like the sport mode. I don't like that it stops after 2.5 minutes. I heard that it will totally throttle you down to 65 without any warning, which is super dangerous. And for that reason, I would never take this bike on the highway. But if you're off the highway, you'll never get on a street with more than like 55 mile per hour speed limit. So this bike is just perfect for it, because in regular mode it goes 65. And for those short bursts of time, you can go 80, which is really fast for an e-bike. But now that we're in electric motorcycle territory, 80 is like, okay, it's all right. You're gonna get smoked by any like real motorcycle on the street. So nice riding along the ocean on like a nice big smooth sturdy bike. This is super pleasant. I would say if I was a commuter and I had some kind of commute that didn't involve highway riding, this would be an outstanding commuter option. Wow. Suspension's quite cushy. Oh, and that reminds me, the third thing I was saying, there's 3 parts of a bike you touch: the grips, the pegs, and the seat. The seat's terrible. If you've ever ridden a Razor MX 500 or MX 650, that's exactly what this seat feels like, which means it's basically going right up your crack with like no forgiveness. I can see getting ass fatigue quite quickly on this. I'm already kind of getting it. Look at this. The wind is like pushing my helmet off my head. Woo! Wow. Oh, this is a motorcycle. I've never ridden an e-bike that feels like this. Whoa. See what's going on over here at the beach. I came in with some pretty low expectations. I was expecting to say that it was a good idea but bad execution, but they kind of nailed both. They really did. So now I want to test out the security system on this bike. If you take the key fob and you arm it, okay, so it makes an alarm, and then it should lock the wheel too, the rear wheel. Whoa! That's cool. So not only is it locking the wheel, but it's actually using the motor to push against you. I'm actually giving it everything I can to push this bike. There we go. Oh, okay. So if you fight it for like 4 seconds, it'll stop. Oh, it's going again. That's nice. That's the coolest security system I've ever seen on an electric anything. Another great feature this bike has is reverse, so you're not backing up 300 pounds every time. Well, I can confirm that this bike is super nice. But what wasn't nice is the experience that a lot of the customers went through when they placed a pre-order for this. They had to wait over 2 years to get the bike, and it did not come the way it was promised. It was 100 pounds heavier. The range was about half what they claimed, and they added $700 for shipping months before they even shipped it, which is outrageous. If you place a pre-order for something, you don't expect to pay $700 months down the line just to get it. So that's partially why I was coming into this expecting to be disappointed, because Sondors really didn't live up to a lot of the things they were promising. But I've got to say, especially for $5,000, which is what the pre-order price was on this bike and what the owner of this bike paid for it, $5,000 is a deal. It is a deal. If you compare that to something like a Sur-Ron, this is going way faster and it's street legal. The prices have since been adjusted since the pre-order. They're now $6,500 before tax, so I would believe it's about $7,000 by the time it gets to your door. And I still think that this is a good bike for $7,000, with an exception. And it depends what kind of riding you're doing. Are you commuting? This is a great bike. Are you commuting on the highway? Not a great bike. It's going to cut out of sport mode after 2 minutes. Are you going for wheelies? Not a good bike. It's a hub motor. If you want good speed off the highway and street legality for a commuter, I do think this is probably your best bang for the buck available right now. I'd love to see alternatives. Feel free to comment below. If you have a rare or exotic e-bike like this and you're in the Southern California area, please email me. I'd be happy to come check it out. As always, thank you so much for watching.